It's a delight and pleasure to catch up with Rick Shrowder, who is the co-founder of Global Community Sports, and he's a talent manager at Norwood Football Club. To see you again.
Thank you, Vinod. Have with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And Rick, you're such a lover of India. You've been here how many times so far?
Well, I think I've been 8, maybe 9 times, but at least 7 or 8 times. Yep.
Yeah. And as a coach, you've been working, a bit with vision impaired and blind kids. And the last time you were in India, you spent a bit of time with the St. Louis School for the Blind in Chennai. What was your experience like working with blind kids, and what did you do there?
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate to bring a sports coaching program. On this particular occasion, we focused on blind tennis, visually impaired tennis. So thank you to some partners, or thankful to partners here in Australia. We managed to take over some tennis nets and some tennis rackets, and we purchased some of the modified tennis balls that have the bell inside them, and came over and via your introduction to St. Louis School for visually impaired there in Chennai, we introduced these students to effectively blind tennis. So we broke the sport down into its most simplest of forms and introduced the fundamental skills of playing tennis with the net in between to these young people with a visual impairment. It was an amazing experience as a coach and just as an individual for me to have that opportunity to work with these young people and share with them the experience of learning a new skill. It certainly wasn't one of those coaching experiences where I was simply giving instructions to kids and then they had to go and do it. This was very much me learning at the same time that they were and collaborating with them in this joint venture of learning and overcoming the challenges of playing a particular sport.
Right. And I mean, you work with so many visually impaired kids in various programs. I mean, what are the big benefits you see in making sports part of their all-round development?
Yeah, look, I think over and above the benefits that sport offers any young person in terms of the development of those real life skills of learning and understanding how to be patient, learning how to be resilient, learning self-control, self-evaluation, all of those life skills that sport gives young people, confidence. Working with the visually impaired kids, from my experience, has also given them that opportunity to understand that, yes, they potentially have some additional obstacles to overcome, obviously not being able to see, but that doesn't have to be a big enough obstacle to stop them from experiencing all the pleasures that sport has to offer. So by encouraging them to undertake these challenges of adapting the sport to their needs. So the bell in the ball is the most obvious one when you're talking about whether it be tennis or soccer and those types of sports, cricket. The necessity of using other senses like your hearing is crucial, but helping the young people to understand that they still have the opportunities to experience the pleasures that sport offers, just like any other young person would. It's just a case of overcoming some initial obstacles, really, that's all.
And you think any sport can be adapted so that everyone, including visually impaired kids, can enjoy? You think that's a possibility?
Yeah, absolutely. I really do think that. And look, I've been to a lot of places around the world, but India is a place that strikes me every time I've been as being somewhere that is young people, especially, can be incredibly resourceful. Can make a game out of very few resources. Can make the most out of situations that might seem pretty precarious or dire to a lot of other people. And the same attitude can be taken towards sport or any sort of physical activity. How can we take the fundamentals of this sport that everybody enjoys so much, tailor it a little bit to the needs of the people playing, or adapt it to the needs of people that are playing, so that its enjoyment can be shared by more people? You would have to be, I'd have to think pretty hard about a sport that couldn't in some way, shape or form be modified, adapted, altered slightly to cater to those that have a visual impairment.
And my very final question is, I think, if you really want, this to be developed in a place like India, what would be the main elements to make that possible? Say you pick any sport and you think, you want to get that, to be implemented in India.
Yeah, that fundamental understanding that the benefits will certainly far outweigh any additional effort that's required to adapt the sport. Whether it's tennis, for example, going to that little bit of extra effort to set up an indoor area that can cater for young people with visually impaired, or of any age. Sorry, we were talking about young people before. A little bit extra thought process about how to make sure that the environment is going to be safe. How can it be conducive to those with the visual impairment? So having it indoors rather than outdoors with lots of additional noise. And I know India can be a very noisy place sometimes. So going that little bit of extra effort to just think through how do we adapt this and how can we make this work, rather than getting too caught up in all the reasons why something can't be done, thinking through all the reasons to make it happen.
So thank you so much, Rick, for your time, and also, for coming back and forth to India so many times. Look forward to catching up with you again when you're back in India next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod. It's been a pleasure.